The top 10 most dangerous sports that you can find around the world. 10. Luge. A luge is usually manned by one or two people. Riders lie on their back and steer the vehicle with their feet. Approaching it at 90 plus mph is always risky. Luge athletes lie on their backs from the sled and slide down, trying to avoid getting thrown off into the air. Luge has always been a dangerous sport, but in recent years, there have been more fatalities due to the increased speed of the luge track. In 2010, Georgian luger Nader Kumaridasvili crashed head-on into a steel pole at the opening event. 9. Boxing. Boxing is a combat sport which can be traced back to ancient Greece and Rome. It has evolved over the years to include 3 different phases: offensive, defensive, and counterpunching. The goal of boxing is to knock out one's opponent. According to this report, martial artists who box are at risk of brain damage, particularly if they start boxing when they're young and keep it up into adulthood. 8. Equestrianism. Horseback riding is indeed a traditional sport. It has been around for centuries, and there are many different disciplines that can be practiced. You may not have known that horseback riding is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. 7. Car racing. Auto racing has evolved tremendously since the introduction of the car. Initially, there was no organized racing. Drivers would race around town or, in some cases, for some money between drivers. However, in 1904, William Kissam Vanderbilt Jr. organized the first event at the Narragansett Park in Rhode Island and formally began auto racing in the USA. From that point on, it has grown into a competitive sport with many professional. Drivers should wear fire retardant jackets and helmets to protect themselves. They don't always work, but they often reduce the risk of injury or trauma. This is why it's considered one of the most lethal and dangerous sports in the world. 6. Scuba diving. Scuba diving is an extreme sport that has been growing in popularity. The thrill of the unknown and exploration is what keeps people coming back for more. With new technology and safety measures, the risk factor has been reduced significantly. Diving, which is the sport of swimming underwater, has an inherent risk due to pressure. Although it is a thrilling experience, there are many risks associated with diving. The weightless environment causes pressure fluctuations, which have the potential to burst a lung, strain an eardrum or sinus, or even cause brain damage. Long-term exposure to high-pressure gases can cause tissue damage. To keep the channel running, please subscribe and like this video. 5. Soccer. Soccer is a high-intensity sport that is played in many countries around the world. Injuries are common due to the fact that players are constantly running after one ball and there is a lot of physical contact between players. The medical team interrupts virtually every football match and rushes on the field to help a player with an injury from the pitch. Muscles of the leg and joints are commonly hurt, and that doesn't stop players in soccer leagues worldwide from fighting fiercely. 4. Gymnastic. Gymnastics is one of the scariest sports out there, since it requires balance, strength, flexibility, agility, and coordination. Wrist joint fractures, vertebrae fractures, Achilles tendon injuries, and cartilage damage are a few of the common accidents that could happen. Professional gymnast Delissa Gomez was involved in one of the worst accidents in her sports history. In 1988, she was practicing a difficult vault and landed on her neck, which broke her 4th vertebrae and paralyzed her from the waist down. 3. Base jumping. Base jumping is a risky activity that has seen an increase in participation in recent years. The daredevil activity can be traced back to the 1950s and is now practiced by thrill seekers around the world. There are about 20,000 recorded jumps annually and around 100 fatalities per year. 2. Mountaineering. Mountaineering is a very risky sport with many dangers. The most common are avalanches, altitude sickness, rockfalls, sunburns, and fatigue. Mountaineers are also at risk for twisting an ankle or breaking a leg due to the uneven terrain. Let's look back at the list before we get to the number 1. What is a dangerous sport and why do people participate in them anyway? Competition in many sports always carries the danger of harm. From boxing to soccer, the risk of injury is high. The risk to health and safety is why there are strict rules and regulations set up for each sport. Though sports may bring joy and pleasure to all those involved, accidents and fatalities occasionally make an impact. Now, who is the number one? 1. Bull riding. Bull riding is a rodeo sport in which one must mount a balking bull and try to stay on for as long as possible. The animal will try to buck the rider off by rotating its spine, leaping into the air, kicking with sharp hooves, or doing combinations of these three things. Thank you for watching. To keep the channel running, please subscribe and like this video.